Hi, I'm Rashonda. I'm the creator of this YouTube channel as well as the artbyro.com website where you can find over 200 art and drawing tutorials. So be sure to check that out, but watch the video first, of course, which today is going to be a cartoon skull with a little spider web up at the top. This is a pretty easy drawing, good for beginners, so I hope you will follow along and try to do one of your own. So let's go ahead and go on over to the art studio and get started with that. In this video, I'm going to be drawing a cartoon skull with some spider webs around it. So let's go ahead and get started with our basic shapes. I want the skull to fill up most of my paper, so I'm using an artist trading card today, but you can use any size and type of paper that you want. So we're just going to put some guidelines in here where the eyes are going to go, the nose, and then we're going to have the teeth come down into this area here. It's easier if you can get some guidelines drawn out. It helps you to start making some marks on your paper so that you're not just staring at a blank piece of paper. It gives you an idea of the size and shape and the placement of where your drawing is going to be. So I do encourage my students to start with basic shapes and guidelines whenever possible. It really does help get you going and makes things a lot easier. It saves time in the long run. So now we want the nose. It's going to be that kind of a triangle shape. And then the eyes, because this is a cartoon skull, I'm going to make the eyes a little bit larger than what I normally would do. And these eyes we're just going to make them rounded. Nothing too, we're not trying to do a realistic looking skull, just something fun, a little cuter. And then we'll do the teeth kind of oversized as well. So I'm just going to put like maybe 4 or 5 teeth in here. Right down here at the bottom. A little bit larger than what you would typically do on a skull. Again, because that helps with the little cartoon look and feel of it. And then I'm going to do rounded jaw bones. So it kind of looks like he's got almost like chubby cheeks or something. And then just connect that down to where the teeth are. And you can kind of clean it up and refine as you go. And then for the top of the skull, bring it kind of up and then back in. And that's pretty much it for the drawing part of it. You can clean it up if you need to clean it up. I like using these click erasers. And I'll have a list of supplies that I like to use in the description box if you want to check that out. So here is the basic sketch, or quick little drawing of the skull, and then we're going to do an outline. I like to use these Sharpie pens for my outlines. You can use whatever you like. Brush pens work really well. You could use a marker if you wanted to use a marker. And then I'm just simply going to trace right over top of my pencil lines. The pencil lines that I'm keeping. So I don't erase everything as I go, typically. What I will do is I'll go over everything with my black pen and then let that dry for a few minutes and then go over it with a big block eraser and clean up all those extra pencil lines and get rid of everything. I'm also going to add in a little bit of 3D effect here in the nose and the mouth. So you can see a little bit of the thickness of the skull. And I'm also going to fill in these solid areas of black with my same pen in the nose and the eyes. Use a black pen for that. You could also switch to a marker if you wanted. Just going over all the pencil lines that aren't going to get erased. And you can do these where you make your lines with different line weights. You can make some thick, some thin. That's up to you. And then the other thing I like to do is on the outside edge is to go back over it and make that a little bit thicker. And then leave the inside lines a little bit thinner just to add a little bit of variation. Now you could use a color other than black. I like a nice heavy black outline on my drawings. That's just a personal preference. If that's not the look that you like, then you could try maybe a gray or some kind of color that's going to go with your whatever your color scheme is that you're going to be using. So just do whatever you think looks right. I'm showing you just one way of doing this. And my hope is always that you'll play around and have some fun and put your own style to it. Take what I'm showing you and kind of make it your own and try something else out. So all that's left to do now is to fill in the inside of the eyes and to clean this up with an eraser. So I have this black eraser that I got, but you can use any type of big block eraser, it doesn't matter. This just happened to be one that came with one of those cheap drawing sets somebody got me, and I just happened to like the eraser from it. And then fill in the eyes, which I'm going to wait and do that in a minute. The next thing is to add the spider web, because we are going to do a little spider web in this drawing. And because this is a cartoon skull, I want the spider web to be kind of a fun cartoony feel to it also. So I'm going to do, instead of straight lines, I'm going to curve these lines. So we just need to make some lines coming up to support the web, and then we just want some curved lines connecting these. Just have those going around. My web's gonna stop right there. Go around this way, and that's gonna be my spider web. I'm going to go ahead and outline that in black as well, and then fill in the eyes, and then we'll be ready to add some color to this guy. So for the spider webs, I'm going to do the same thing and do one pass for most of the lines, and then for these outside, I'm going to make them a little bit thicker. So I am going to go ahead and finish this up real quick, and then I will be back with some markers, and we'll finish this up by adding some color to it. To finish up this drawing, I'm going to add in some color. So for the inside of the eyes and the nose, I'll do some gray, and then I will do a gray that's a little bit lighter and overlap that to blend it a little bit. And then I will do a lighter gray at the bottom. And then I want to do the background and maybe, let's see, maybe some gray on the skull itself, but I want something that's very light. So I don't want it to be just white. So what I can do is add this real light gray and just kind of go around the edges, just so it's not plain white. So this is just happens to be a Prismacolor marker. This is a 10% gray, so it's real light. And this is just to not have it just all plain white. You could use a beige or a yellow color if you wanted, or you could try thinking out of the box a little bit and experimenting and trying some other colors for your skull and see how they look. So now I want to do the background. So what I want to do for the background is have some greens and yellows back here. So I'm going to start in this corner with my yellow. And you'll have to decide how far down you want to go with each color. So that, again, like with pretty much anything in art, it's just a series of decisions and personal preferences that you might have. So then I'm going to use this green. And I really like this green, but it is starting to run out. So I'll have to see if I can get a replacement for this one, or if I have to buy a whole set again. Hopefully not. That's the bad thing about markers, is oftentimes you have to buy a complete set of markers, and then when one color runs out, you have to get an entire set again. So it's better if you find some markers where you can buy the individual colors separately. That really helps, so you're not having a bunch of extra markers that you might not end up using. So then I'm going to take this other green marker that's a little bit darker, and I'm going to put that in. And I'm just kind of going on a diagonal. And then overlapping it a little bit. And then what I do is go back with the lighter marker and go over where those two colors come together. And that will sort of blend it in there. You can also use a blending stump. I usually just use whatever markers I'm already using. So then we're just gonna take the darkest green. This one looks like it's starting to run out too. We'll just go ahead and fill in. Now where this area blends together, you do have to do that while the markers are still wet. You don't want it to dry out. It'll blend a lot better with a wet marker, because that alcohol saturating into the paper is what blends the colors together. So I'm just going to finish up with this green. And then we'll just add in some white for the final touches. Get this green all colored in. So that's it for the color on this. And then what I like to do is use a white jelly roll pen, and you can add like some little white highlights in here. And then I also like to add some white by the spider web, little reflection off the spider web, just to add it a little bit more detail, a little bit more contrast. Makes us stand out better. This is optional. You don't have to do this step if you don't want to. And that's it for this cartoon skull with the spider web. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hopefully, I am having trouble talking today. Hopefully you feel inspired to try some of your own artwork, and I will see you next time. Happy creating! That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully you feel inspired to create some of your own artwork. Don't forget to check out that description box. There's some good information in there for you. And also give the video a like if you did enjoy it. And click that subscribe button if you want to get notified of future videos. I will see you next time. Bye!